කියන්න බලන්න මොකක්ද මට දැන් මොකක්ද කිව්වනේ මට මතක නැහැ. questions again අදුන ඒක කරන්නත් ඕනේ මම ටියුටෝරියල් එකක් සම්පූර්ණයෙන්ම දුන්නා. right. I will discuss that one. That's questions I'm given. That angular motion tutorial ne කනේද working අර first එකේ තියෙන rim එකයි wheel එකයි. Right. That one I'll discuss now. We'll do first first question. Let's see then. Right. The front wheel of a racing bike can be considered to consist of 5 spokes and a rim shown in the figure. That's for A1, 1A. They given that diameter is 0.6 meters. The mass of each spoke is 0.04 kilogram and the mass of the rim is 0.24. And the wheel has a diameter 0.6 meters, right? The part A, the Roman one, each spoke can be considered as a uniform rod. Calculate the moment of inertia of a spoke as the wheel rotates. Okay, then the wheel, you can see the wheel like this. And then with the 5 spokes there. The one spoke has a length, and this is diameter is 0.6 meters. The length of the one rod is 0.3 meters because it's half of that. The diameter is 0. The radius is 0.3 then. So then this one is considered as a rod, then it is rotating, but axis at their go that's passing through their edge. So then for a moment of inertia, for a rod rotate about the axis passing through its edges, you can write as 1/3 of m L square. When it is passing through the center of gravity, it is 1/12 m square. Now it is m square. So then you can write the part A, Roman one. Let's say this is I1. So that is equals to the 1/3 ml square. That m is 0.04 and L square is 0.03, the square of that. That's only one rod. All right. They ask you to find the moment of inertia of a one rod, not for all together, right? Just a one rod. Then simplify this and take value. Okay. I'll find my calculator. That means 0.0012. The unit is kilogram square meter. That's for one rod. And there are 6 number of rods similar to this, right? And then second part, the Roman number 2, show that the total moment of inertia of the wheel is 2.8 into 10 to the minus 2, right? This approximate value they given because normally in this question sometimes they ask you to show that, because the students are not going to simplify and then they directly give the value they given. So to avoid that one, they given that approximate value only, but you have to simplify it and give the exact value. ඔය තියෙන එකම එකපාර මේකයි සුළු කරන්න නැතුව දාන්න යන්න එපා. එහෙම වැලියු එකක් දෙන්නොත් එහෙම ඒකේ අනිවාර්යෙන් දශම ස්ථාන එකක් හරි වෙනස් හරි. Okay, then the total moment of inertia is the total moment of inertia of the rim plus the moment of inertia of the rod, one rod multiplied by 5 because the 5 rods are there. And the rim is that's a ring. That's you can write as a moment of inertia of a ring is that's mr star. And this 5 rod, you already know that. I'll write this way, then we substitute the values. The mass of this rim is 24 kilogram. The radius is 0.3, the star, plus 5 times 0.0012. Okay. Then you can get the answer. There is 0.0276. 0.0276 kilogram square meter. Right. So that's why the approximately this is 2.8 because the 2.7 into 76 into 10 to the minus 2, approximately 2.8. That's why they ask you to show that, right? Okay. Next, the wheel is placed in a test rig and rotate as shown in the figure. The tangential velocity of the rim is 19.2 meters per second. Calculate the angular velocity of the wheel. Tangential velocity means the velocity of a point at the edge, like this kind of. This velocity they given. As rotating is omega. Then you can write that omega is that's equal to V over R. That's 90.2 divided by 0.3. 64 radians per second. And calculate the torque acting, sorry. Second part, the brake is now applied to the rim of the wheel, bringing it uniformly to rest at 0.6.7 seconds. Calculate the angular acceleration of the wheel. Right? I'll erase this. What I erase? Angular acceleration you can find easily, then use the kinematics, the equations. That's omega equals omega naught plus alpha t. The omega 0 because it's come to rest. Initially, this is 64. Alpha time is 6.7. Alpha you can write is minus 9.55 radians per second. Clear? Right. The next part. With acceleration and torque acting on the wheel. That is tau equals I alpha. The total I we calculated, and then it's easily alpha already know that. This torque is a negative torque. That means it's a we call it a frictional torque because it's helps to take the wheels to rest. It's reducing, right? It reduces the angular velocity. So it's a frictional torque. It's not a torque applied to make the motion. The torque applied to reduce the velocity, right? So directly right at the torque equals I alpha. Then I we know that 0.0276. Alpha is minus 9.55. Then you can get the frictional torque applied by the speed, right? 0.95, 0 to 7. That's approximately minus 0.26. Right. Negative sign you need to name because this means it's a the torque applied opposite to the direction of motion or rotation. That is Newton meter, right? Okay. Is it clear? Then we'll go to the next question, right? All right. The second question now. Okay, the second one, the graph taken by a short track speed skater is shown in figure 2A. That's the path consists of two straight each of a length. We can it's called a 200 track then 29.8 meters and two semicircles each of radius 8.2 meters. And starting at point X, halfway along the straight, the skaters accelerate uniformly from rest. She reached a speed of 9.64 meters per second at point Y, the end of the straight line. The straight line to calculate the acceleration of the skate. The total length is that 29.8. The halfway means, so let's erase this. Starting from here, and this total length is 29.8, and this is then 29.8 negative 8. And then they can be 14.9. So 14.9 meters. Then we know the speed at there. Given that the path consisting the speed. Yeah, the starting at point X and halfway. The starting from rest, right? So then this is velocity at this point is 0. This point is 9.64. Then you can direct find the acceleration easy. Because we sky equals u square plus 2s. We don't know the time. This is 9.64 square. The 0 plus 2 into a into 14.9 is the meters distance travel. And then you can find the acceleration. Simplifying this. Three point 118, that means 3.12 approximate. The skater exists. The curve at point X is in with a speed of 10.9 meters per second. With a speed of 9.9 meters per second, right? Calculate the average angular acceleration of the skater between this point, right? The Z is the point at there. The radius of the path given in the equation that 8.2 meters. And the velocity at this given at 10.9. meters per second, right? Now this velocity increases, and you can find this omega. Asking you the angular acceleration, right? So the angular acceleration. Yeah. Then you can write this omega square. That's equals to the omega naught square plus 2 alpha theta. How this point omega is the v equals r omega is v over r. So then this omega you can write as 10.9 the velocity at this point. Divide by the radius is 8.2, the square of that. And here it is 9.64. Divide by velocity at this place, the radius is 8.2. The square. 2 alpha. The theta is the 180 degrees turn. That's pi. Then you can find this alpha. You need to simplify this and find the answer. Okay, the answer will be 0.06 radians per square second. Then ask when this speed skater reaches the curve, she'll skate into the ice as shown in the figure. To be the force F indicates reaction of the ice on the skater. Right, then okay, look at the curve, maintain a curved path. We know that in a curved path, when you're moving, there's a minimum velocity because if there's no friction, there's no any force to get the centripetal force. There should be the force to make a centripetal force, then only they can moving safely, right? If not, it tends to move radially outward. So then here he leans and the force applied by that blade is there, then though because skating on ice means that but smooth. So by making like this, the blade is there means they can pick the ice, then you can apply the force on it because ice වලට තියෙනවා දැන් ice එහෙම ඩික් කරගෙන ගියාට මේක ice තියෙන්නේ below 0 හින්දා එයා melt වුණාට උඩ layer එක ඒක melt වෙච්ච ගමන් ආයේ මේ freeze වෙන්න ගන්නවා. මෙම උඩ ඉරක් ඇඳොත් එහෙම ඒකට පොඩ්ඩකින් ඇදී දිය වෙලා ආයේ freeze වෙනවා. ඒ හින්දා එහෙම ටික් කරාගෙන ඒක පොඩි වෙනසක් ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ track එක. Skating වල ice skating. ඉතින් okay then අහන්නේ how this maintain කියන එක ඔය ටික තමයි ලියන්න තියෙන්නේ because that force the component of the force acts as the centripetal force and then they can maintain the curve safely. එහෙම ලියන්න ඕනේ මම කියන්නද ලියන්න නැත්නම් ලියා ගන්න පුළුවන්. පුළුවන් මම කියන ලියා ගන්න. Sorry. And this force provides the centripetal force. Then the Kilimarian that's a component or horizontal component of this force provide the centripetal force to maintain the motion in a curved path. Maintain the motion in the curved path, right? So that's the reason. And then skate approach the next curve at the greatest speed and slide off the track. Explain in terms of forces why this happens. Because when it's moving faster, the centrifugal force increases, but that hari කියන්නම් හිමි ලියාගන්න බැරුව ගියාද කලින් ඔය මං හිතා සද්ද නැතුව ඉන්නේ ඉඳලා ලියාගෙන ගියා පළවෙනි එක තියන්න ඕනේ දෙවෙනි එකට first one
No, sir.
explain how the force allows ඒක මෙහෙම ලියාගන්න that's the force this force කියලා නේ උඩින් කියලා තියෙනවා this force they apply කියලා the force F indicate the reaction of the ice මේක ලියන්න එහෙම this reaction the horizontal component of this reaction force the horizontal component of this reaction force provides the centripetal force which helps to maintain the motion along the circular path or curved path. But the second part, the skater approaches the next curve and greater speed and slide off the track. And then the second part, right? Then the වෙන්නේ වේගය වැඩි වුණාම the centrifugal force එක වැඩි වෙනවා. හරි. So under this with the high speed the centripetal force increases. So similarly, the centrifugal force increases. Centripetal force increases as mv square r. Centripetal force increases. Similarly, the centrifugal force increases, but the horizontal components will not sufficient within bracket because of the maximum value for the friction. Maximum value. Right, that's the horizontal component of the above force will not sufficient to maintain, will not sufficient to provide the centripetal force. So that's a resultant to the outward. So it will move outward. It will no longer moving in a circular path. Very force again. So that's the radius of the curve should be much greater than reduce current you can then you know that if because m v square or this is a constant because it's a value. So to maintain with this force, if you want to moving in a circular path, as you increase the V, but it cannot be increases. So what happened there? The radius should be increases to reduce this value, to keep it with the value equal to the F. So what they do then? They need to moving in the larger circle, because if they are larger, then this term will be reduced, right? එයින් තමයි එළියට යන්නේ. එළියට ගියාම මේක large එකක් එන්න පුළුවන්. දැන් නිකන් ආසාවට එළියට යන්නේ. Okay, then the third හරි නේද? මකනවා. ඉන්නවනේ. සල්ලා. Third question. Sorry. Hi. A sport scientist analyzes a dive. At one point during the dive, shown in figure, that we have approximates the diver's body to be two loads of equal mass rotating about point G. One rod has a length of 0.94 meters, the other is 0.9 meters. The diver has a mass 66 kilogram. Okay, that's the body. You can write like this now. You can see here, because we can consider it as two rods like this, equal masses at the different length, right? So L1, let's say it's given as 0. The upper part is given as 0.94 meters. And this lower part is given as 0.9 meters. The same mass cut. Okay. And when it rotates, calculate the approximate moment of inertia of the diver. Right? Then when it rotates, this you can write as a rod is rotating at this edge. Right? It's the moment of inertia of one part is half 1/3 I, that's a M R1 square plus 1/3 M L del 2 square. So 1/3 and mass is same. I'll take it out because that total mass is 66 kilogram. So then this should be 33 kilogram and this should be 33 kilogram. So I'll take this M out and it is 33 kilogram. And L1 is 0.94 square plus 0.90 square. So now we can simplify and get the value. It is 18.63. Okay, then the diver's true moment of inertia then given, right? About the point G is found to be 10.24. මේ දැන් ඇත්තටම ඒක 18.63 කියලා calculate කරලා ආවට but it is actual value is 10.25. Account for any difference between the value calculated in part 1 and this because he assumed that this body has two equal masses, mass rod of two equal masses, right? But actually we know that the mass distribution of a body is not uniform, right? Different, right? And also we know that the mass distribution is different and also the density of the body parts are also different, because not the uniform one, right? So that's the reason for this. Okay, you can write there. The answer is then the mass distribution of a human body. The mass distribution is of mass distribution of a human body is not uniform. The uneven mass distribution, right, is not uniform. So that's the reason for this difference. And then in the position shown in the figure, the diver has an initial angular velocity of 0.55 radians per second. He changes his position so that the shown in the figure, the diver now has a moment of inertia 7.65. Calculate the angular velocity of the diver's this position. Okay, now moment of inertia is changed, but if we change the moment of inertia without applying any torque, right? So no torque applying there, because in air he is moving like this by moving his body parts, that's hands and legs. He doing this. So that means if there's no any torque, the angular momentum should be conserved, right? So then you can write that one if you want. The angular momentum should be conserved. So then I1 omega 1, that's equals to I2 omega 2. I1 here is not the value you need to use this one, because that actual value they given as 10.25. Very careful about that, because this calculation is given, but the actual value they given as 10.25. That's the actual value you need to put in 0.25. And then it's 0.55. It's angular velocity initially, and now the moment of inertia 7.65, and now they ask in the omega the angular velocity. You can simplify and give the values. Approximately it will be 0.74 radians per. Okay, this is the first part and this is third part. Now part B. First one, calculate the change in rotational kinetic energy between these two positions. Right. Change in kinetic energy. That's the initial kinetic energy. Final kinetic energy. Right. That's the initial kinetic energy. You can write all the values now. Actually, this velocity increases and this is squaring of this. Make a final minus initial because final one is increases. මම ඒකේ හේතුව කියනවා පස්සේ වැඩි වෙන්නේ කොහොමද කියන්නේ. මෙයා දැන් මෙහෙම move වෙනවනේ. මෙහෙම move වෙන මම කියනනම් ඒක මෙහෙම rotate වෙලා පල්ලෙහාට එන්නේ. When you come down, as the potential energy decreases, so it also converts to kinetic energy. That's why kinetic energy, final kinetic energy increases here, right? And then because to do the work, you need to draw the hands and legs. You need to do work. So that's work stored as a kinetic energy then also. And then this one half the I2 omega 2 square and minus half I1 omega 1 square. So this half you can take out. I1 is 10.25. Sorry, I2 is 7.65 multiplied by 0.74 square minus 10.25 square. Then this say 4.55. Then you can simplify and get the answer. It shall be 2.09 minus 1.5. 0.54 joules. මම කැල් එකෙන් ගහලා ඔක්කොම කියන්නේ හරිද? ඔයාලා දුරු කරන්න. Then account for the difference in rotational kinetic energies. That's difference. The reason for this difference, that's how this kinetic energy gain. How? So you need to write it like that's a work is being done by the diver, right? Because diver නිකම් මෙහෙම ඉන්නකොට ඔක කොහොම වෙන්නේ? He need to bring their hands towards his body. So then he need to do some work. That work will be stored as this kinetic energy of the body. Okay, right? That's the work is done. Work is being done by the diver. Then fourth one. හරිනේ isn't it? The fourth one, the stunt driver is attempting to loop the loop in a car as shown in the figure. Before entering the loop, the car accelerates all horizontal track. Right, the loop is given. Let's see how we can solve this, right? I'll raise. Fourth one. Loop is like this. You may round වගේ වෙනවා. the vehicle. Cái මෙහෙම ඇවිල්ලා මෙහෙම ගිහලා හොම යන්නේ. හරි. හරි. The radius is given. Yeah. Now let's see the points also they mark now there's a P and somewhere here there's X and Y. And smooth. And then the radius R of the circular loop is 6.2 meters. The total mass of the car and the driver is 8,000. So 870. Show that car must have minimum speed 7.8 at the point P to avoid losing contact with the track. Right. Now let's see if the object is now there. Then what are the forces acting on it? The weight is downward, that is mg. And the normal reaction, this r. To move the velocity, let's say it is the v. To moving without losing the contact, means the normal reaction should be greater than 0, that one, right? So at this case, right, that's a normal reaction at P should be greater than 0. Avoid the losing, right? So then the equation for this point, that's centripetal force, that's mg plus r, that's equals to m v square over r. This is for r, the minimum value of r is r mean, that's 0 for a losing. I'll write this way, didn't I? Yes, so r equals b square r minus mg. That should be greater than 0. So that means this mb square over r be greater than mg. And v should be greater than square root of gr. Right? So then the minimum value of g, v always should be greater than this cell. The minimum value is then square root of gr. And the g is 10 and r is 6.2. That is square root of 62. Approximately this is 7.8 meters per second. They ask you to find that minimum value. It should be the minimum value. If that value is less than this one, you cannot move to this point. Okay. That's the way you need to write in the exam also. Topmost point vertical motion topmost point right? Directly we will we discuss the top vertical motion the part B then. During one attempt, the car is moving at a speed 9 meters per second at point P. Draw a label diagram showing the vertical forces acting on the car at P. Label diagram, this, let's say this is the car and this is R. That's normal reaction. So contact force, you can draw contact force also. And mg, the weight. Only two forces acting. No other forces, right? සමහර අය මේ වැදෙන් අර centripetal force කියලා එහෙම අඳින්න එපා හරිද? Centripetal force තමයි මේ දෙන්න තමයි centripetal force එක දෙන්නේ. Centripetal force කියලා වෙනම එකක් අඳ it's wrong. ඒ කියන්නේ හරියට ඒකේ meaning. Calculate the size of each force. We'll calculate then, right? Kana mega. No. Start. The weights, that's mg, that's equals to 870 into g, that is 8,700 newtons. And use these, because m is downward, that's mg minus r, that's plus r, that should equal to m v square over double r. R you can write m v square over r minus mg. The mass is 8,870 and v sine square 6.2 is the radius. Then you can simplify. That is 2,666. Newton. This is a normal force and the weight they asked to calculate. Then part C, when the car exits the loop, the driver starts braking at point X for one particular run. The displacement of the car from point X until the car comes to rest at point Y is given by the equation S equals 9.1 t minus minus 3.2 t square. That's the deceleration. Sketch a graph to show how the displacement of the car varies with time between point x1. So this is a, they ask you to draw this sketch graph of displacement with the time, right? Okay. You can rearrange this equation like this. S equals, we know that S equals the 2t plus half at square, the original equation. So then 9.1 is that initial velocity minus half into 1.6, then 6.4. You can write like plus minus 6.4, then 0.2 comes this. Then you can say this is the acceleration, that's the deceleration, this is the initial velocity. We know that this is a graph, that's displacement time graph for this deceleration towards this time in seconds, in meters. The deceleration curve is moving like this. Initially, zero displacement starting. And then values, how you can put the values in? You can take some values. Okay, decelerate with that. They ask you to get the displacement time or sketch it. In the point x1. Okay, we have that. Values දාන්න කියලා කියන්නේ මොකක් හරි එක value එකක් අපේ. මේ හරියද අපි කොහොම rest එකට එන්න තැන. We can calculate that, but value is come to rest. They come to rest means that's acceleration. From 0. Velocity becomes 0. the initial one, final one. So you can get the values there. Use V is for U plus 80. This is V, U is 9.1 plus minus 6.4 into T. Then you can calculate T here. You can calculate the value එක දාන්න ඕනේ. rest එක දෙන්නේ කීයද කියලා. අපි කියලා තියෙන එකයි rest එක දාන්න කියලා. 9.1 divided by 6.4, 1.4. And you can write this is 1.42 seconds. That's correct. And the displacement at that time, using this equation, you can calculate also. It's 8.37. No, leave it. Well, let's say them now. හරි දෙක තේරෙන්නේ කොහොම මැත්ස් කරන අයට නම් ඔක ඊට වඩා තව ලේසි ක්‍රමයකට තියෙනවා කරන්නේ 6 කරන අයට කොහොම තමයි හරිද
Excuse me, sir.
ඔකේ යනකද
So can you repeat how you got the displacement?
ඔව්
8.37.
the T value it's okay for this equation you can use and get the T right 9.1 divided by 6.4 that will be 1.42 second substitute that T values there clear this is then you can find 3.2 into T square තේරුණාද 8.37 නෙමෙයි මේ minus 0.837 normal this
I got 6.47 as the answer when I used the different equation, sir.
oh yes 6.47 තමයි මම සුළු කළා හරි
Right.
මම සුළු කළා වැරදි මේ මම කර වෙන මොකද ඉලක්කම වැටලා කැලේ එක හරි question number 5 බලමුනේ clear නේද geometry
Oh,
දැන් ඊට පස්සේ hydrostatic සංගණන මොකද දැන් හිනගද මේ ඒතර මම තව ඇඩිෂනලි දවස් දෙක තුනක් කරන්නම් මේ පොඩ්ඩක් ඒ ලෙවල් උනාට පස්සේ මම ඔයගලන්ට ස්පීඩ් අප් කරනවා පොඩ්ඩක් ක්ලාස් එකේ ඒ කියන්නේ තව දවසක් හරි නැත්නම් වෙලාව වැඩිපුර හරි අරන් මොකද මේ ඉස්කෝලේ පාරට ඔය ටර්ම් ටෙස්ට් එකම ඒ ගානට කරන්න එපා ඒ ගානට යන්න ඊට වඩා ඉස්සරහට කරමු හරි මේ දවස් ටිකක් බිසි නෙමෙයි එතන ටයිම් එකක් මේ විතර දැන් ප්‍රශ්නයක් තියෙනවනේ මේ කරන්ට් යන එක බලමු ටිකක් ඊට කලින් පටන් ගන්න try to start earlier right නැත්නම් weekend එකේ හරි කවන්නේ ඒක වැඩිපුර කරන්න ඕනේ දැන් 5ක් විතර කරා 4ක් කරත් ඇති පොඩි පහක් විතර මම මේ හිතන් හිටියේ ඔයගලන්ට කොහමද මේ පාර ලයික් ඒ ලෙවල් වුණාම ඊට පස්සේ ඔයාලට වෙනම පුළුවන් නම් මේ වෙනම මේ පේපර් ඩිස්කස් කරන්නත් පොඩි පැයක් විතර දවසට දාගන්න කියලා ඒකට ඔයගලන්ට මේ තියරි කරන ගමන් ක්වෙස්චන් ඩිස්කස් කරන්න වෙනම මම පොඩි පේපර් එකක් දීලා මම ඩිස්කස් කරන්න. අනිකම් කලින් ඒවා මතක් වෙන්නේ විභාගයට යනකම්. Just not the separate paper class, the same class, but 1 hour will deserve for discuss the questions. අර වෙන වගේ paper class ඒවා මේවා paper class දැන් මොකලන්ට ඕනෙත් නෑ අනිත් එක උතුම් paper කරන්න ඕනේ මම ඕන තරම් ප්‍රශ්න කරනවා. හරි then you already seen these kind of photos in some buildings there like food city වලත් හමාර යනකොට තියෙනවා ඔය වගේ. කපාරකට එක්කිනාටයි ඔකෙන් යන්න පුළුවන්. The moment of inertia of the system about the axis of rotation is 54 kilograms per square meter, not per, no, kilograms square meter. When it rotates, the constant frictional torque of 25 Newton meter acts on the system. That's also need to keep in mind. The system is initially stationary. On entering the building, the person exerts a constant force if perpendicular to the door at the distance 1.2 meters from the axis of the rotation. The angular acceleration of the 2.4 radians per square second calculate the magnitude of the applied force. And this system, this one is apply the force F 1.2 meter. Then you can write the equation tau equals I alpha. How this torque apply this force perpendicular to force multiplied by the distance, that's 1.2. And don't forget to reduce the frictional torque. The frictional torque is 25. The I is then 54, alpha is 2.4. Then you can calculate the F. In newtons. Do you have exams, term test exams school? No. Order in. My God, physics tomorrow. Then physics is not difficult subject, no. You don't need to worry about it. So don't be tired to study physics. Physics is easy subject, right? You work for other subject. Physics the applied force is removed and the system comes to rest in 3.6 seconds. Calculate the angular displacement of the door during this time. Tomorrow I could also have the physics, but I cannot share that paper with you until after tomorrow I will share the paper, right? Then it's okay for you, right? There are many questions regarding this, so I'll share the paper tomorrow. Then you try to do this one also next week. Come with the answers. Calculate the angular displacement of the door during this time. Angular displacement, that means theta they are seeing. Physics is not easy, sir. Sir තරම් easy. ඔයාලට sir කියලා අග තියෙන්නේ මට easy නෑ කියලාද කියන්නේ? Actually, the physics is easy. Problem is that how you learn it, how you get it. That physics කියන්නේ ගොඩක් දැස බිග්ස් මේ practical subject එකක් කොල්ලන්ට දැන් මේ අමුතු දේවල් නෙමෙයි උගන්වන්නේ. Everything we discuss, we can make our day to day life. Right? දැන් ගොඩක් ඒවා එහෙම practically ඔයගොල්ලෝ මේ දොරක් හරින වාහනය. දැන් ඕවා මේක generally දන්න දේවල් මෙහෙම course එකක් දුන්නා මේක කරගෙන එක මේ practically වෙන එකේ පොඩි mathematical part එක තමයි ඔයාලා මේ physics කියලා ඉගෙන ගන්න තියවල් කියලා තියෙන්නේ. කරන ටික අනිත් ටික practically ඔයගොල්ලෝ කරනවා ඔය හැමදේම වගේ. ඔය course එක ඒවා ඔක්කොම නිකන් yeah thinking about that how this happened, what's the reason, how this happened, why it's happened in that way. අපි හැමතිස්සෙම එහෙමනේ question කරන්න ඕනේ මොන any natural phenomena and also the man made phenomena. You can think that why this happened, why what how, right, like that natural question. හරි කියලා දෙනවා පාස් එක. මොකද අනිත් විෂය නැත්තර මීට වඩා අමාරුයි මට නම්. ඒකට හේතුව තමයි ඒවා ආටිෆිෂල්. මතක තියාගන්න යුතු කරුණු වෙලී නිකන් කටපාඩම් කරගන්නවා. ප්‍රැක්ටිකල් නේ ගොඩක් යාත්. ඉතින් හරි අමාරුයි මතක තියාගන්න. සමහර maths physics තමයි ගොඩක් lazy. ඒක හරියට mathematics එක උඩට දාගත්තා physics easy. chemistry වල එහෙම කොච්චර තියෙනවද කටපාඩම් කරගන්න. Colors of ions or colors power, even the colors of the ions, right? So cobalt 2 plus, the pink color. පාඩම් කරගන්න ඕනේ නේද? හරි. මට නම් ඒක මතකත් නෑ. cobalt 2 plus pink මම දන්නෙත් නෑ නේද? This pale red. I think. Don't know IT ද කරන්නේ? IT නේ. IT thing මේ වගේනේ ගොඩක් කොච්චර කෝඩ් කරන්න කෝඩින් කරන්නේ මතක තියාගන්න. හරි අපි මම කරනවා මේක ඊළඟ පාර්ට් එකට. ඉතින් මේ ඔක්කොම එක වගේවා තියෙන්නේ ගොඩක් දැන් ඔක්කොම භාවිත කරන දේ පොඩි ඉක්වේෂන්ස් ටිකක් තියෙනවා. ඒක මතක තියාගන්න කරන්න. You can do it, right? I think you can try to make a computational physicist. ඒක තියෙනවා වෙනම ලෝකේ subject computational physics special degree එකක් ගන්න පුළුවන් කොළඹ campus එකේ computational physics. ඒවා ඕනේ වෙන්නේ දැන් ඔයගොල්ලෝ දන්න දැන් අපි ගොඩක්ම ලෝකේ දකින IT කියලා ජොබ් කරන ගොඩක් අය ලංකාවේ ලෝකේ නෙමෙයි අතට ලංකාවේ කවුරුවත් ඉන්ඩස්ට්‍රියල් equipment ඒවා සම්බන්ධ IT මුකුත් කරන්නේ නැහැ. හැමෝම IT කියලා කරන්නේ මොනවද කියන්නේ හොයලා බලන්න වෙයි software engineers ලාගෙන් මොනවද කරන්න බැලුවොත් financial apps, go to database management වලට apps හදපු ඒ apps වල maintain කරන එක ඒ වගේම විතර. දැන් ඔයගොල්ලෝ දැකලා තියෙනවනේ ලොකු තියෙන medical equipments තියෙනවා. දැන් US scanning machine, ultrasound scanning machine වල computer සම්පූර්ණ IT system එක අනේ ඉතින් computer program එකක ඉන්නේ සම්පූර්ණයෙන් කරන්නේ image processing කරන ඔක්කොම. අන්න ඒතකොට ඒක ඒ වගේ system එකක් හදන්න ඇත්තට physics දැනගන්න නැතව. ඒකේ ඇත්ත වෙන process එක ඒ ටික. ඒ වගේ IT professional කෙනෙක් වෙනවා නම් a small opportunity and also it's a very demand. General Electric කියලා තියෙනවා ලොකු company එකක් ලෝකේ GE කියලා තියෙනවා. GE General Electrics. එයාලගේ තියෙනවා ලෝකේ හැම අවුරුද්දෙම ඒගොල්ලෝ හැම අවුරුද්දකම ලොකු ප්‍රොඩක්ෂන් ප්‍රමාණයක් කරනවා ඒ වගේ. අට softwares තියෙනවා හැම එකකම වගේ. දැන් එන හැම equipment එකකටම ඒගොල්ලෝ දෙනවා app එකක් හදලා තියෙනවා. software එකක් තියෙනවා ඔය radiography machines, sound machines වගේ ගොඩක් machines තියෙනවා. අනේ වගේ company එක IT brand set කරනවා නම් අන්න demand, right? Physics is scientific. අපි special degree එකකදී අපිටත් තිබ්බා එහෙම. computation කියන්නේ පොඩි program එකක් අපිම ඉගෙනගෙන අපිම හදලා physics වලට අදාළ පොඩි simulation එකක් හදන්න. මමත් එහෙම හදලා තියෙනවා. I know the IT well because I have followed the Bachelor of IT degree also, right? The bit qualified. මම Bachelor of IT කරලා තියෙනවා. Parallel to this physics degree. because in this era, for university students to follow this big, they given 50% off, right, for the classes and other things. අපි පන්ති ගියෙත් නෑ ඇත්තටම අපි කරේ මේ self study වලින් තමයි bit කරේ. ඒවල assignments දානවා ඒ ටික online කරනවා ඊට පස්සේ ඔය පන්ති යන කායින් හරි note එකක් කියලා ගන්නවා පාඩම් කරලා ගිහලා exam දෙන්න. මේ ලියලා එහෙම pass වෙනවා ඔක්කොම ටික. pass කියන්නේ pass නෙමෙයි AB තිබ්බේ ඔක්කොම. ඒ IT degree එකක් කරාලා තියෙන්නේ. මෙහෙම හිටියට මම IT කරා computer architecture කරලා තියෙනවා. ඔය ගොඩක් ඒවා කරලා තියෙනවා. දැන් නම් මතක නැහැ coding කරන ඒවා නම් මෙලෝඩියක් මතක නැහැ. ඒ කාලේ කරාට let's see then how we find this angular displacement, right? Here alpha we know that, right? Alpha 2.4 radians per second. So it's comes to its equal but you know here comes to its expressed in 3.69. In the theta you can write this initial angular velocity given the no applied force removes the system comes to its okay then if the force is removed it will come to rest not with this acceleration now this force is removed, right? So no torque applied on it, but that you need to find this new alpha. How? There is a frictional torque. It's come to rest under the frictional torque. It is minus 2.25 Newton. And this I moment of inertia is 54. Then you can find that multiply by alpha. So new alpha you can write this minus 25 divided by 54. This angular deceleration is there. This new one you can find it, right? Zero 0.4846. Now after 3.6 seconds, you can find it comes to rest is omega naught, then you can alpha. This come to rest 0, this omega naught we need to find minus 40463 and into T then. T is 3 points, sorry. 3 point. Then the omega naught you can find using this. That shall be 1.667 radians per second. And then you can find the theta. That's equals to omega naught T plus half alpha T square. This is 1.67 into 3.6 plus half. The alpha is 0.463 minus the 0.6 square. This is because negative sign because of the deceleration. Then you can find this. Approximately you can get that is 3 radians. 3 radians. They rotate the 3 radians and then stop. This is the angular displacement of the door during this time. It's clear. All right. Then the B part on exiting the building, the person exerts same magnitude of force, the same distance from the axis of rotation. The force is now applied shown because you can see it's not applied now perpendicular to the, it's applied to perpendicular to the toe, right? Not perpendicular, no, it's applied, there's some angle. Then the component is less than the previous angle, so, right? So then what happened? Actually, they are not asking you to calculate it because they're not given the angle, because we cannot calculate. We have to write what happened, how force is applied, and how does the angular acceleration of the dust system compare to that's given in the part A. That's you can write this. The acceleration is less now because the force or that's a torque applied by the force is now will be reduced than previous value. So that's why you can say the angular acceleration will be reduced then. Because the justification is that is because the torque, the applied torque is less. And then because if the force is not perpendicular to the door, it produces the torque less than the previous value. Right? The torque produces less than previous value. ඒක තමයි එතන ලියාගන්න තියෙන්නේ. හරිද? ඉරානේ මං ලියන්නේ ලියාගත්තානේ මං අනිත් එකට යන්න. All right, then next one. Right, then this question is about the rotor. An HS1000 tidal powered electricity generator is installed on the seabed close to the Orkney. The generator is shown in the figure. ඔයා තමයි tidal wave ඔයා plot වෙන්න පුළුවන් නැත්නම් මූද පතුලේ හදලා තියෙන්නේ. ඕකෙන් ඒ කියන්නේ පැනලා යනකොට ඔය බ්ලේඩ් කැරකෙනවා. දැන් හදලා තියෙන්නේ. ඒකට ඔකේ ටර්බයින් එකක් කනෙක්ට් කරලා තියෙනවා. ඒ ටර්බයින් එක rotate වෙන ටර්බයින් එක කරපුවා you can produce the electricity there. The blade turbine is 7.8 meter long. The moving tidal water spins between turbines to generate the electricity. The maximum power output of the HS is 1 megawatt. When operating, the tangential velocity of the tip of the blade, given the tangential velocity of the tip of the blade is 8.2 meters per second, calculate the angular velocity of the blade. This V equals R omega, directly you can substitute the values in K. This 7.8 meter. That is 8.2. Sorry. This is 8. This omega. In omega, you can have 8.2 divided by 7.8. $1.05. And then when the blades are rotating at this singular velocity, the rotational kinetic energy is 1000 megajoules. Calculate the moment of inertia of the rotating parts of this, right? It's rotational kinetic energy is half I omega square. the I equals then the 2E divided by the omega square. That's 2, that's 100 megajoules into the 6 and divide by this 1.05 square of that. 1.81 into 10 to the 8. And they ask in the state one assumption made in calculations. Because there's no any other moving parts on this blade or on this turbine. Make the moving parts තිබොත් මෙතන ඒ kinetic energy එක පුළුම මේකට equal කරපෙක වැරදිනේ මේක ඔක්කොම අරන් තියෙන blade දෙකට විතරයි. That's the assumption you need to make that right there. There are no other moving parts in the blade system. In the blade system, right? In the gears or anyone. නැත්තම් ඔයගලන්ට කියන්නේ the blade is not uniform නෑ ඒත් මේ energy කියන එකත් that's some energy loss is not there, no energy loss as a heat or something. If the energy loss you can, that's also reduces this, right? And also you can write the blades are rigid, do not bend කියලා කියන්න පුළුවන්. දැන් blades නැමෙනකොට වෙනස් වෙනවා ඒකට energy support. Blades rigid and doing so you need to make an assumption. Then next the part B is starting from rest takes 42 seconds for the turbine to reach the angular velocity above. Okay, the torque acting on the turbine. Then the alpha you can write change in angular velocity divided by the time. The angular velocity, let's take they ask in this 42, that's 7.8 for the 1.05. The angular velocity takes 42 seconds. Then the angular acceleration you can find. It is 0.02. The torque you can apply this I alpha 1.8 into 10 to the 8 0.025. That's 4.525 into the 6 Newton meters. Okay. In a body fascinating, huh? Okay, බලමු. A student uses two methods to calculate the moment of inertia of a solid cylinder. About its central axis. In the first method, the student measures the mass of the cylinder be this much the diameter. Then you can try because it's a solid cylinder. The moment of inertia is given by half I, half m r square. For a cylinder, that's half 0.115 r square. That's r is 0.03. Half the diameter they given. So radius is half of that. Then sorry. That's 1.29375 into 10 to the minus 5. Approximately 9.3 into 10 to the minus 5. In second, separate. Hi. පොඩි දෙන්නාවන එක. Then second, in a second method, this is make a roll in the data. I can measure the roll it on a slope and it's measure the velocity as 1.6 at the bottom. This is the diameter. This height 0.25. Okay, when it rolls down, it's rolling without slipping. We can say that's both the kinetic, the rotational and translational kinetic energies there. And initially there's this H, let's say the potential energy. So this potential energy uses the rotational kinetic energy and the translational kinetic energy. Then from this equation you can find I also. Given that's the velocity, mg 0.115, g is 10, and h is 0.25. Half I, that's how you can find omega. For a pure rolling, omega you can write as V over R. That is 1.6 divided by 0.015. Because half of the diameter is 1.6 divided by 0.015. It's about 106.6. Half into 0.1 into 1.6, right? And you say bit current balala 1.6 here. Then you can find the I from. Okay, it gives you that 2.466 into 10 to the minus 5. Right. Then using the conservation of energy, calculate the moment of inertia. This is the conservation of energy we use, right? Explain why the moment of inertia found part B is greater than part A. So what's the reason? What should be the reason? Because when it rolls down, right? We assume that no energy loss. So that's why we get a bigger value. This is the actual value. Have to make a bigger value in here. But some energy can be lost because of friction. So that's we are not considering that loss part. So that's why you get the bigger value. If the energy loss you added to there, that's minus. You can add some, reduce some energy then, because that potential energy consumed for the other energy forms also as a heat sounds when it's rolling down. So if you reduce that, this will be reduced to this value. You can write there the reason is that the energy will be lost to the another forms. Last one. Because the kinetic energy recovery system. Let's see. Flywheel consisting of solid uniform disc as the same as the previous one. You need to get the regular moment of inertia, that's half I omega square. හරි මම ඒක ඉගෙන යන්නේ මෙන්න මේකට සබ්ස්ටිට් කරලා ඒකන් okay. Your mass is 16 and this is 0.3. Then you can simplify and get the value. It's about 0.72. An 8, 3, again 0.9. So, so 1.8 million. Sorry sir, හරි මම මේක දෙකෙන් බෙදුවේ වැරදි. 7 2000. දෙකෙන් බෙදුවා. The diameter නෙමෙයි කියලා දෙන්නේ මෙතනදී radius. Mass is attached to the flywheel and the flight string and like that is moving down. Then the flywheel makes 5 further revolutions before it comes rest, and the mass allows to fall down to first traveling is 0.0 meters per second. Okay. Gill acceleration and the frictional torque they are asking you to calculate. You can find the omega, which is right At this moment, you can write omega, that's equal to V over R. And the V is given as 3, R is 0.3, and this 10 radians per second. Omega, right? Then the angular acceleration get omega naught equals omega naught plus 2 alpha theta. The given that's 5 revolutions economic, right? So it's come to rest 0. And initially, omega tends square, we find 2, that's alpha, and theta is 5 revolutions. You need to multiply this by 2 pi. Then alpha, it's about minus 1.6 radians per second. Then the frictional torque you can find, that's B, part A here, that's part B, the frictional torque. That's equals to the I alpha. I is 0.72, the alpha is 1.6 minus 1, this frictional torque means it's a minus value. To get this 1.152 Newton meter is frictional torque. Then the question asks, the experiment is repeated with the flywheel made of the more dense material with the same physical dimensions. The density asks, the string falling mass and all frictional forces are same as what we. As string detached from the flywheel is the speed of the falling mass greater than, the same as, or less than, or they asking to justify the answer. Okay, if the material is the higher dense material you use, the speed of the mass will be what happens? You see, greater than this 3 meters per second or less than. Because of a higher dense, the mass will be greater because the other dimensions are same. So then the moment of inertia is larger. Larger the moment of inertia means it's more reluctance to motion, right? More reluctant to rotate, right? So then the moment of inertia is higher means, so more moment of inertia. So then the that's a velocity, this frictional torques and every other thing is the same means uh, the velocity is taken because it's slowing, then moving it's very slowly, right? Because higher moment of inertia. So then the velocity should be less than the previous level. Okay, first then you can write the speed of the mass will be less than 3 meters per second, the previous value, right? The 3 meters per second. The reason you can write, since the flywheel has greater moment of inertia due to the high dense. Flywheel has greater moment of inertia due to the high dense. So it's more difficult to start the motion. More difficult to start the motion, hence the speed will be reduced, so less than the previous value, right? Then they introduce the curse, that means the kinetic energy recovery system, and the moment of inertia they given with the expression. It's easily you need to substitute the values and get the value for this. The I is given by the half m r1 square plus r2 square. Half the mass of the flywheel is 6 kilograms. The R1 and R2 are 0.15 square plus 0.2 square. This is 0.1875 kilograms per meter. Calculate the maximum rotation kinetic energy that can be stored in this. That half I omega square you can use directly because that's omega they given as that 6 into 10 to the 4 revolutions per minute. Only convert into the meters per radians per second. Fine. That's omega which was right then. So RPM they get 6 into 10 to the 4. That's 25 multiplied by 25 and divided by the 60. Then you can get it as radians per second. The kinetic energy is half I 0.875 star of that. So 3.7 into 10 to the 6 joules. Fine. Okay. Then I hear from you. තියෙන කියන්නේ වගේ ආගන්න තියෙනවා කියන්නේ.
සර් මට තව ක්වෙස්චන්ස් වගේක් තියෙනවා ඒ ටික මේ සර්ට එවන්නද?
Hi, man.
හරි සර් මම ගෲප් එකට දාන්න.
Then done. හරි. පළවෙනි එක ඉස්සලාම කියන්න මේ මොකද frequency spring එක. එහෙනවනේ.
Oh, sir.
අමාරු නෑනේ දේශී. Just two identical strings, right? Two identical strings. So this is මෙහෙම නිකන් හිතෙන්න මෙහෙම තියලා මේක පොඩ මෙහෙත් تعلق කරා කියන. That means this will extend by x. This is contract by x. The extension or contraction is same for both. If any force you apply a system of springs, right? So if it shows the same extension or contraction, those the two spin we consider it as parallel to parallel springs, right? This is similar to these two springs up make parallel because they connected to the one body. If this pull down, both will extend by same amount. Similar to here also. Only the difference is one is contract, other is extend, right? So then you can equivalent this system to here. වෙන විදිහකට තියෙනවා මේක ලියන්න ඕනේ නම් එහෙම මේ frequency equation එක ලියන්නේ කොහොමද කියන්නේ? ඒ විදිහට ලියලා පෙන්නන්න. මේක මෙතනට ආවා කියලා හිතමු. මම මේක තව රූපයක් අඳින වෙනුවට it's taking time නේ. රූපය නෑනේ. අඳිමු නේ. යයිනේ පොලේ වහලා ගැහුවාගේ. හරි. Make a track. This is equilibrium. This model is next to there. At this position, let's the acceleration say. So this acceleration not to this direction, it's in other direction. The force acting on this spring is described as F on the F1 is that's K is the spring constant, then that's Kx. Another one is also the Kx. Right? If you extend this body to the side, then the force acting to this direction. And this one, you compress this, also the force acted to this direction. The total force acting on this system is then that's x, kx plus kx. But this acceleration, this is moving to this direction, right? So I will apply the electrical MA. That's this is the resultant force on this block. That is in this direction. Apply the electrical MA. So this k x plus place is like k1x, k1x and k2x like that. You right? I'm writing two different k2x. The minus that's equals to the minus means that applying this equation to this side, force is opposite side. And mass divided by mass multiplied by the acceleration. You can write this acceleration as minus k1 plus k2 times x. So this is similar to the characteristic equation minus omega star x. So then the omega should be k1 plus k2 the square root of this, as k1 equals k2 for this system that is equal identical to identical springs. Omega is plus 2k square root of 2k. And there. In this case, that the frequency is then equals the 2 pi f is the frequency 1 over 2 pi the 2k square root of 2k. You can write like this. That's a frequency if they given. If one spring is removed, this just only the one, then you know that the omega you can write this as a minus kx. Then the similar you can just derive the one is removed, this a equals minus kx. Then omega equals the square root of k, right? And then this is equal the frequency in this case equals 1 over 2 pi square root k. Second equation, this first equation, and divide this. And this f dash or f plus equals to the 1 over 2 pi, 1 over 2 pi cancel. And square root of k divided by square root of 2k. K cancel. So then f dash equals f divided by root 2. හරිද?
So ඒකේ m cancel වුණේ කොහොමද?
මොකද?
f equal ma equation එකෙන් mass එක
නෑ නෑ m cancel නෑ m වැඩක් නැති හින්දා මම ලිව්වේ නෑ. හරිද?
හරි.
m should be there, right? This omega then with come with this m, right? omega එක මේකර මේ එකටම එකම m ඉඳ බං ඒක ක්ලික් කරලා දැම්ම නිකන් එකපාරම හරිද? If you want, you can write m there, right? And here also that m is there. හරි නේද?
හරි sir.
ඒ කියන්නේ මේ MCQ වලදී නිකන් ඔය ඕවාල කොහම ලියන්න ඕනේ නෑ අර නිකන් ප්‍රොපෝෂන් එකට ගත්ත හැකි. මං ඉතින් ලියද්දි ඔය සමහර ඒවා එකපාර සුළු කරන හින්දා ඕවා අමතක කරලා වැඩකට නැති constant values ඔළුවේ තියාගෙන ලියන්නේ ඒකයි. Okay then this 25 කියලා දාලා තියෙනවා මොකද්ද? A solid ball is released down incline of variation inclination angle theta but to a fixed vertical height h. Coefficient of statics and kinetic frictions are both equal. Total kinetic energy of the ball of the bottom of the incline as function of the angle of the incline. Problem is that they ask me total kinetic energy. Ball at the bottom of the incline. If the inclination is 0, how there's a kinetic energy? Then figures are kinetic energy. But if the inclination is 0, that means there's no the given the initial දීලා තියෙනවා කියන්නේ. නැත්තම් එන්න බෑනේ kinetic energy එකක් ඒ කියන්නේ. roll කරන්න එතන ඉඳන් 0 වලින් නම් පටන් ගන්න. මේකට initial kinetic energy එකක් දීලා තියෙනවා කියන්නේ එක මන්දා. When the inclination is increased, then then
ඒ
equation
කියන්නේ
එකේ
sir
rolling down.
horizontal path එක move වෙන ගමන් තිබිලා ඊට පස්සේ inclination එක ඇවිල්ලා වගේ නේ sir.
මොකද?
මුලින්ම horizontal path එක move වෙවි තිබිලා ඊට පස්සේ inclination එකට ආවා කියලා ගන්න පුළුවන් නේ sir.
But they are not given like that thing. අපිට මෙහෙම බලමු අපි. කොහොමද? Okay, initially ඕක drop incline එක උඩ තියලා release කරනවා කියලානේ කියලා තියෙන්නේ. කියන්නේ හැම එකේම initial height එක එකක් තියෙනවා ඒක. එහෙම හිතමු. initial එකක් තියෙනවා මොකක්ද කියලා. හරි. උත්තර අහලා තියෙන්නේ total kinetic energy at the bottom කියලා. කියන්නේ the inclination is 0. So no, that's මේකේ එකම height එකකින්ද කියලා කියනවා. ඒතර එකම හැම angle එකකදීම same height කියලා එකක් කියනවා නේද? මට හිතෙන්නේ this the ball at the bottom of the incline. එහෙම නේද කියන්නේ ring time variation inclination but through the fixed vertical height කියලා.
ඔව් sir.
ඒක contradiction එකක් නේද ඒක? කියන්නේ various angle and fixed height එකක් තියෙන බෑනේ. this theta equals 0 වුණත් එහෙම. ඔක මෙහෙම වෙන්න පුළුවන් දැන්. අන්න මෙහෙම small angle this height is h. අපි large angle එකක් ගත්තොත් එහෙම ඒ height එකම තියෙන පොඩ්ඩයි තියෙන්නේ. පොඩි length එකයි. හරි. ඒ height එකම තියෙන. problem එකේ තියෙන්නේ 0 වලට තමයි. 0 වලට නැතුව තමයි ඒක. take long. infinity කියලා තමයි ගන්න. then පොඩි ප්‍රශ්නයක් තියෙනවා because they mentioned that this same height එකේ තියෙනවා කියන්නේ it's initial potential energy is equals for both or all. So total rotation kinetic energy තමයි අහන්නේ. ඔක total energy මම හිතන්නේ අහන්නේ. Initially mgh තියෙනවනේ. ඒතකොට හැම එකම එකම විදිහට පටන් ගන්න. question එකේ දීලා තියෙන විදිහට එහෙම තමයි contradiction අර විදිහට තමයි ගන්නවා නම් ගන්නේ total energy ඔය අහලා තියෙන. total kinetic energy නෙමෙයි. මම කියන්නේ තේරෙනවද?
ඔව් sir.
right. question වල තියෙනනේ පොඩි doubts. ඒවා අපිට ටිකක් ටක්කාලා මට ඔක්කනවා මම දැක්ක ගම. එතකොට මේක මේ රීඩ් එකක් නෙවෙයි කියන්නේ නේද? ඔක ඔයාලට ටිකක් දේසින් ගන්න පුළුවන්. මම දැන් මේක විනාර ලොකේෂන් වලියා ගන්නම් කියලා හිතුවේ. කමන්න ලියලා. X mgh is equals to the half I omega square plus half mv square. මේකේ total rotation kinetic energy කියලා උතන කියන්නේ ඇහුවොත් දැන් ඕක මොකක් වුණත් mgh equal. So initially it should be keeping constant තියෙන්න ඕනේ. ඒකට ඕක එක value එකකට වඩා පස්සේ වෙන්නේ නැහැ because that's the static and kinetic friction equal කියලා තියෙන coefficient එක. අන්න friction එකට තියෙනවා minimum value එකක් pure rolling කරන්න. pure rolling වෙන්නේ එතකන් විතරයි. that value එක exceed වෙච්ච ගමන් angle එක pure roll වෙන එක slide වෙනවා ඊට පස්සේ. sliding and rolling when it's sliding, the energy will be reduces by the friction. තේරෙනවද?
Yes, sir.
එතකොට ඔය graph එක කියන විදිහට ගත්තොත් දැන් පොඩ්ඩක් මෙහෙම තිබිලා පොඩ අඩු වෙනවා. angle එක වැඩි කරගෙන දැන් අපිට ලොකු මේ initial height එක එකමනේ ලොකු inclination එක 90 degree විතර වගේ ගියා නම් නිකන් එයා මෙහෙම ඩොග් ගාලා බිමට වැටෙන්නේ gravity එකේ. ඒකට bottom එකේදී ගන්න kinetic energy එකේ maximum ඒ කියන්නේ වැඩි වෙනවා ආයි. ඔච්චර වෙන්න වැඩි වෙන්න ඕනේ mgh දක්වා විතරයි. කොහොම අඩු වෙලා කොහොම වැඩි වෙන එකක් එන්නේ ඒක. graph එකයි කියන්නේ නිකන් calculation කරන්න දෙයක් නෑ ඕකේ. ඒ general thinking එකෙන් ගන්න තියෙන්නේ නම් ඒ වගේ graph එකක් තමයි. That's the third one should be the answer then.
Okay,
තේරෙනවා මං කිව්ව එක?
Oh, sir.
පැහැදිලි නේද? because අර ඔයාලට මතක ඇති මම theory එක ගන්නදී කිව්වා minimum frictional coefficient එකක් නැත්නම් friction එකක් තියෙනවා pure rolling වෙන්න. ඒකට වඩා angle එක exceed කරපු ගමන් එතනින් එහාට එයා pure rolling නෙවෙයි then it slide. Without rolling it's sliding. හරි ඒ කියන්නේ rolling වෙනවා සමහරවල් rolling then sliding both mix and then ගම impure rolling. pure rolling වෙන්නේ අර එක instant එකකට විතරයි එක angle එකකට නේද? Until that point the energy is constant. Total kinetic energy is mgh. Is equals to the initial value. So after that value, because of the friction, the slide වෙනවා නම් අනිවාර්යෙන් friction in the they lost some energy. So this reduces. So මෙයා මේ reduce වෙලා ආයෙ වැඩි වෙනවා. මොකද මේක දැන් kinetic මම කියන්නේ අර ඒ වැඩි වෙන්න හේතුව තමයි සම්පූර්ණයෙන්ම rolling නැතුව slide විතරක් වෙනවා. rolling sliding mix වෙද්දි තමයි මෙහෙම. සම්පූර්ණයෙන් sliding විතරක් වෙද්දි ආයෙ වැඩි වෙනවා. හරිද? හරිද? hello?
Yes, sir.
හරි නේද? ඒක idea එකක් තියෙනවනේ.
Hari, sir.
ඊට පස්සේ radius of circular disk with mass m with initial velocity v angular velocity omega comes into contact with the ground as shown in the figure. It is not negligible. Both the velocity and angular velocity. What is the critical velocity when the disk comes to instantaneous rest in terms of the angular velocity? මෙහෙට යනකොට මේක අනිත් පැත්ත තියෙන්නේ. එකපාර comes to instantaneously rest එකට එනවා කියන්නේ අන්න ඒක. Right. Yeah, good. Tapos din yun ang hariado, Kaya din yung article. Now, if it's making a pure rolling only, you can write the center velocity of the center of mass that's equals to the R of it. So this velocity has produced all the particles, weight, and create a rotation. This R omega to this direction, and here R omega to this, and here R omega to side. Relative velocity between these two bodies at here. Related with respect to this, V plus R omega. So relative velocity. But the problem is that 0, that should be negative of that. No? Negative. Both are changing keyword. And ප්‍රශ්නේ තියෙනවා මොකක් හරි එක වැරදි. ඕකේ ඔය කියන එක නෙමෙයි මේ මම කියපු එක නෙමෙයි කියන්නේ. මේක මේ ඔමේගා C කියලා දාලා තිබ්බට ඒක මොකද්ද කියලා නෑ. හරි. Critical velocity omega වෙන්න කිව්වම කියලා හිතමුකෝ. But it's come to initially this instantaneous rest එකට එනවා කියලා කියන්නේ පණින් ගන්න මෙහෙම එකක් දැන් ඔය කියන්නේ හරි. කොහොම වෙන්න පුළුවන් එකව කියනකොට දැන් මොකක් හරි එකක් අපි මෙහෙම දැන් මෙහෙම කරකෝලා හරි. මේ පැත්තට කරකෝල ඉස්සරහට දැම්මොත් මේ වගේ. කරකෝල දැම්ම මේක ඕ ගිහිලා එකපාර පොඩ නතරලා ආයෙ මේ පැත්තට ඉඳ ගන්නවා. අර යෝයෝ එකක එන්නේ යෝයෝ එක පල්ලෙහාට ගිහලා උඩට එනවා වගේ. ඒත් එකපාර පල්ලෙහාට ගිහලා නතර වෙලානේ උඩට එන්නේ. මේ වගේ එකක් ඔය කියන්නේ. හරි. එතකොට මෙහෙම කියන්නේ හරි. එහෙම මේක යනකොට මෙයා වැඩි කරනවා. අවස්ථාවක් කියනවා මේක එකපාර ශනිකව නතර වෙනවා. ඔය ඔක කොහොමද තමයි පිළිදෙන්නේ. තේරෙන විදිහට එහෙම තමයි. හරි. ආන්ගේ නතර වෙනකොට මේ velocity දෙක අතර relation එක මොකක්ද? හරි. So now it's clear. හරි නේද? Then also that's the friction the, the contact point. වැඩේ තියෙන උතන velocity ගහන්නේ ෆිගර් velocity point එකෙන් point එකට velocity වෙනස්. එතන velocity එක අහන්නේ instantly zero වෙන තැන නම් එතන. හරිද? So එතනදි that equals r omega. r omega c. That's මේක තමයි ලියන්න වෙන්නේ. ඔක මොකද මේ වෙන යන්න ගන්න. මෙතනදී ඒක 2 වෙන මේ අනිත් පැත්ත වෙන්නේ. මේ පැත්තට velocity එකක් තියෙනවා මේ just step වෙන තැනදී මේ පැත්ත තියෙන එක තමයි 0 වෙන්නේ. ඒකට තමයි නැතර වෙලා අනිත් පැත්ත. ඕකේ වෙන නම් කියන්න විදියක් නෑ. ඒක චුට්ටක් නිකන් අර උඩින් කියලා තියෙන එක ක්ලියර් නෑ. මොකද ඔක ඉස්සරලාම දීලා තියෙන velocity දෙක ගැන මොකද ආන්සර් එකට ඒක අදාළත් නෑ. ඒක ඔය මම අර කිව්වා වගේ ඉවෙන්ට් එකක් තමයි වෙන්නේ. instantly නවතිනවා නම් the relative velocity should be equals to 0. Relative again that's a velocity with respect to the ground නේ. Respect to ground should be equals to 0. මෙතන මේ දෙන එකම පැත්තට තියෙන දෙකක් එකතු වෙලා 0 වෙන්න බෑ. ඒක මොකක් හරි පොඩි අඩුවක් තියෙනවා. හරි. ඔන්න මම ඒක
හරි සර්.
බලලා හරියට කියලා කියන්න මොකද මේ දන්න විදිහට මොකක් හරි කියලා තියෙන කතාවේ පොඩි මොන හරි හැදෙන්න ඕනේ දැනක් තියෙනවා. හරි. ඊළඟට මේ essay question එක කියන්නද?
එසේ equation එක ඕනේ නැහැ සර්. ඉතුරු තුනක් තියෙන්නේ ඒ තුන ඕනේ. ඒකට පස්සේ තියෙන ෆොටෝස් ටික.
හරි. ඒක නිකන් යෝයෝ එකක් වැඩ කරන හැටින් තියෙන. ඉතුරු කියන්නේ අර MCQ ටිකද?
ඔව් සර්.
18 කියලා හැරි පොටර් කියලා දාලා තියෙන එකද?
ඔව් සර්.
And Draco Malfoy casts the spells across Harry in the face. Can withstand 5g of acceleration before getting unconscious. What is the magnitude of the Harry's angular momentum when he gets unconscious? It's 2 meter. This okay. In this given you that The centripetal acceleration is when it's rotating, there's a centripetal acceleration on. Because when moving the constant velocity, we can write as v is power r. So hurricane bear, that's maximum velocity is 5g. The acceleration maximum කියලා දීලා තියෙන 5g can, so then you can write the velocity 5g r. The square root of this is the velocity. That's 5g is 10 and r is 2 meters. It's 10 meters per second. Then there's angular momentum. Angular momentum, the moment of the linear momentum. Mass is 50, the velocity is 10, the radius is 2. That's 1000 kilogram square meter. Pardon?
හරි සර්.
A rope is used to lower the block of mass and vertically through the distance d at the constant downward acceleration g over 4. The work done by the cord of on the block. Constant downward acceleration g over 4. The weight of mass is same. Then කම්බිමට ඇරියොත් is moving with the acceleration of gravity. මොකක් හරි කෝඩ් එකකින් කරලා තියෙන්නේ අර move වෙන එක resist කරලා. So then it's moving down and body is has the weight mg and its tension is t. It's moving with the g over 4. The right then if we call ma goes downward, is mg minus t, that's equal to m. The acceleration is g over 4 then. The t then equals this 3 mg over 4, 3/4 tension. The work done, that's equals to the force into the displacement. And the work done, because it's moving down, the force is acting upward. It's a minus F is, that's it. Means the tension now it's moving under the tension. Right, that's 3 mg over 4 g. This is clear. It's negative because it's moving down, because there's a force and the displacement are in opposite direction. There's Fs cos theta. The cos theta is 180 degrees, then the cos theta is -1 there.
Clear sir.
All right. The moment of inertia of uniform solid cylinder of radius r and height is 4r is I. Then solid cylinder of radius r are to remove from the systematically. So the results container of wall thickness are over 2 shown in the figure. There is 2 ways to do this, right? I'll let you know how to do it. Point of inertia is I. I already invent the mass is, let's say, m, and this is half m r square. However, the height, and now the half r is removed. Now this mass is, let's say, m dash, and here this mass you can write its volume. Volume is then the pi r square into the 4r to the density. And that's m dash. The new one you can write as pi. This is actually just a 4 pi. You can write this as a 4, 5 r cube rho. And now new mass, you can write the remaining mass now there. Or removed one, let's say. I'll get the removed mass. Removed mass, let's say m dash. We got m1 came. That is 5 r over 2 square into 4r. So volume and density. Then simplifying this is 5r cube. So this 4 5r cube, bro. So remaining mass is then easily you can get that is 3 5 r cube 4. This is the moment of inertia of this remaining one, the I dash. Initially, the mum they make same axis again. එකම අයින් කරා. මේ කලින් තිබ්බ එකෙන් that's a half mr square again. Reduce the new the අයින් කරපු ටික half m1 r over 2 square. Half the m you can write this with the relation now. This එතන m dash කියන්නේ m ගෙන් ලියා ගමු. This 4 5 r square here 5 r cube over rho can m over 4. This 5 r cube over rho, that's 3. It's m over 4. That's 3 part of m dash. M dash means this. The removed one is then this is that's m over 4. So you can write this like m over 4 and r square over 4. Right. Half you take out. And mr square also take out. 1 minus 1 over 32. Then this is equal to 31 mr square over 30, that's 64. So this is I dash. So I equals mr square over 2. Here you can mr square over 2, you can get the 31 over 32. That's half mr square. This I then, this I is then 31 I over 32. Here answer coming in. Because you look at a very big number. One answer, so look at all her well type pick it. No, correct. Next look at it's 15 or 16 I can again though. If I are getting half there, that should be 16. So this should be then 15 over 30. So that's 15 over 6. මේ තමයි අනුත් අර දැන් ඕක අර බැංගල් එකකට ලියන ඉතින් මම උඹලන්ට මේකේ දුන්න half m r1 square plus r2 square කියලා තමයි. m කියන්නේ මේ remaining mass එක. m dash කියන්නේ මෙන්න මේක substitute කරලා r1 is r, that's r2 is r over 2. ඒ දැම්මත් ඔය උත්තරෙමයි. හරිද?
හරි සර්.
එච්චරද?
ඔව් සර්.
වෙන මොකුත් නැහැ. අහගන්න තව මොනවද තියෙනවද කියන්නේ? ඕන වෙලාවත් තව ටිකක් ඉන්නකෝ. ඊට විභාගනේ
ඔව් සර්.
හරි එහෙනම් අර දෙන්නත් නැහැනේ මම නැත්නම් අලුත් පාඩමක් පටන් ගන්න තියෙන්නේ. තා මොන හරි ප්‍රශ්න තියෙනවා නම් අහන්න නැත්නම් ඔයා පාඩම් කරගන්න පුට්ටක් කරලා ආයෙත් දාගෙන ඒක ලියන්න එපා ඉස්සර.
හරි සර්. thank you සර්.
හරි ඒකත් නැහැ. මොන හරි questions තිබ්බොත් ඔයා පාඩම් කරන වෙලාවට මොනවා තිබ්බොත් මේ මට WhatsApp තාරව මම කියලා බලලා කියන්න. මම හැරලා
හරි
ඉන්නවා.
සර්. thank you sir. good night. God bless.
sorry